Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends.
Hey, I'm Russell Leeds.
Hey, I'm Ricky Mandal.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. On this week's show, imagine, Rick, you were starting again. You only had £1,000 to your name. What would you do and why?
I was actually in this kind of situation, but I had less than 1,000. What I did was the first thing I did was I came to a crash course.
So you're a pound down?
I'm a pound down.
You got £999?
Yeah. Okay,
left. So you are, bad start.
Yeah. But then I went into, I started with rent-to-rent.
So you went to the rent-to-rent crash course for £1?
Yes.
Right.
Learn about how rent-to-rents work, how you can make money from rent-to-rents, and kind of an overview and a taster of what I could do with it.
Do you looking back, because obviously when you first started, you didn't particularly know what you were doing.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say I didn't particularly know. I'd say I didn't know what I was doing.
You didn't know what you were doing. So you were getting started, you were figuring it out. Looking back, would you still suggest rent-to-rents was if you've got £1,000, rent-to-rents was the best way forward for someone starting again? I know that is what you did, but...
Yeah, it's hard for me to answer that, isn't it? Because it worked for me at that time.
Yeah, but it's not, because now you've got hindsight, and you've got the power of hindsight where you can look back and go, I did that, it worked, fine. I'm glad I did it, because I learned lots, I've done well from it, but would I do it exactly the same again if you were starting again?
I would, yes.
You would? Okay.
I would do rent-to-rents, because you don't need a lot of money to do rent-to-rents to begin with anyway. So on another episode, we were talking about leverage. So because you don't need a lot of money, you could borrow if you need a bit of money to put into a rent-to-rent, which sometimes you do.
But you can't just say, okay, if I had £1,000 to start again, I would borrow money. Because it kind of defeats the point of only having £1,000.
All right, I wouldn't borrow money then, and I would do rent-to-rents.
Right.
Because with
You're sold on rent-to-rents, aren't you? That's the way you're going to...
Well, that's what I did. I'm sold on what I did.
All right.
So I found a deal.
Yep.
And I actually saved £4. It was £995 a month for the rent.
Okay.
And because I'd done some training, I knew how to negotiate a no deposit, because we take deposits from guests and stuff like that. So we got no deposit, and it was unfurnished. So what we did was we negotiated no rent up front, and we agreed to furnish it.
On £4?
Well, we leased the furniture.
What was your deposit on the furniture?
Nothing.
No deposit?
No deposit.
Not even £4?
No, they're £4.
So you've still got £4 left?
The £4, I've got a coffee on the way to view it. So that's why I would do rent-to-rent, because you don't need a lot of money to get started with rent-to-rent. And all you need to do, if you know what you're doing, you just need a couple of rent-to-rents to replace the average income. And it's quick, because you're not buying... we speak to a lot of people that are like, I say, what's your goals? And they say, I want to become financially free and I want to leave work. So I'll go, what's your plan? And they'll say, I want to buy a house. Well, how long does it take to complete on a house? And then, firstly, actually, before that, how long does it take to save a deposit for a house? Then how long does it take to complete on the house? It's probably almost a year as we speak until you start to see a return if you actually buy a house with a mortgage. So with rent-to-rent, for me, it was quick. You didn't need a lot of money. And because you're not buying it, you're just renting it. It only takes a few days to go through the referencing and get the keys. So it was quick. And that's why I like doing it. And that's why I would do the same thing again. Also, let's say I've got £1,000. Let's say worst case, I had to put down £1,000 towards a deal. I could do that. And because I've done it once with my own money, I've then got credibility then. So then I could borrow money. Because I could say to you, hey, Russ, I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a rent-to-rent deal already. It's making this much. Here's the proof. You give me another £1,000. You give me £1,000, and I'll go and get another deal, and we'll split the profits.
Yeah.
So I could use my own deal as credibility.
And at what point do you reckon you'd have 100% ROI, i.e., made your £1,000 back? How long do you think it would take you if you were starting from scratch? Got £1,000, got to make your grand back.
Well, from when I found a deal, or if I was just starting without a deal?
Totally starting with no deal, you're going to find it, make your money back. Samuel does his financial freedom challenges, doesn't he? He's got 7 days.
Yeah, he's a different breed.
Right.
Different breed. If I didn't do it within a month, I'd be I'll be like, I'm disappointed in myself.
Didn't have the deal or made your money back?
Made the money back.
Because it takes like a couple of weeks to get your money from Airbnb and Booking.com.
Yeah, but I could take bookings directly.
True.
Then, so if it was like right, you need to make your money back, then I would just set up my own website, take payments through a merchant account, and then withdraw the payment straight away because there's no refunds anyway with service accommodation, rents and stuff the way we do it. So if I didn't get it back within a month, I'd be a bit like, a bit disappointed.
Do you let people cancel then?
We do get some cancellations, but we limit the risk because and this is what we teach, if you have a cancellation period, which I suggest everyone does, if you leave the cancellation period too close to when they're going to stay and they cancel, then you're leaving yourself open to having a void period. So then you've got to remarket it, you've got to refill it. So we do get cancellations, but that doesn't matter because you can't, within 5 days of coming to stay, you can't cancel. There's no free cancellation within 5 days.
Oh yeah, I think that's 7. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
7?
Yeah. I think that's fair enough because then it gives you a chance to remarket it. So if people cancel, it doesn't really have an effect because then we'll get to fill it anyway. But if I didn't get the money back within a month, I'd be within a couple of months, I'd be like...
Devastated.
I'm very disappointed. 3 months, I'll be like, something's wrong. I'm being pranked. I'll be like, Russell's pranking me here.
Russell's
the one.
Phone, telling you no.
Russell's booking my accommodation, but he's doing it as a prank. And 4 months, I'd just be like, right, I'm done. But I'd expect to make it back within a month. I'd say our average student, most of them that come through advanced trainings, within 3 months, they're making their money back plus more.
So it's interesting because my first thought was if I was starting again and only had £1,000, I would go into deal selling.
Really?
Yeah, I think deal selling is a brilliant
business. But you don't need money to start deal sourcing.
You still need a website. I'd want to get a website. I'd want to get, there's certain things.
Yeah, if you went out there and built your own investors list, you could co-deal source and then leverage off someone else's investors.
You could co-deal
leverage
source.
off someone else's brand.
Yeah, I mean, I might co-deal source the first few deals.
So where would the £1,000 go if you were going to do deal sourcing?
I probably wouldn't need the whole £1,000, to be fair. But but the question was, if I had £1,000,
if you had £1,000,
what would I do?
Okay.
So I think I would set up a deal sourcing business.
Why? So why deal sourcing?
I just think deal sourcing is such a brilliant business. It's a brilliant way. Well, I'd go to the deal sourcing crash course first. I'm down a pound.
Yeah, you're down a pound.
So I think deal sourcing is a brilliant way of. It's just a brilliant product because you're selling product that's costing you nothing.
Yeah.
Normally, if you've got a shop or you're selling product, there's a cost for the product. But because you're selling basically just information, the only cost is the time that it takes you to go and find that information.
Well, the profit margins are very high with deal sourcing as well.
High.
Because you've got hardly any overheads or expenses.
You don't need a unit, you don't need an office.
Yeah.
All you need is like a phone, a CRM system, and a website, and then to go and network. So I'll probably spend my money on those, on networking, on setting up my company, getting my company registered on company's house, limited company, that sort of thing.
So could you not do both then? Could you not do deal sourcing and rent to rent?
You could do. It's an interesting one. I know a lot of people do. I think the thing is, because it's fast pound, it's kind of like having a job. I think I would choose one and focus on that to start with.
Yeah.
I think I would do both because I think they are different. With deal selling, it's very much about you're going out, finding the deals, selling them. The good thing about rent to rent, what I like about rent to rent, is that it almost turns it, once you've done the work, it almost turns it into a passive income. It's not totally passive because there is a little bit of work to do, but very limited work to do. Then you've got the money coming in, especially if you didn't get a service accommodation is probably my favourite, although I do like
I'll throw a spanner in the works here.
Go on, throw one in.
Do you think you could, let's say, thinking a little bit more long term, you got your £1,000 minus £1 for the crash course. Do you think you'd be able to move quicker and get a quicker return on investment by selling deals quicker?
Well, here's a question. Let's say
I haven't finished my question.
I understand what your question is already. I'm 2 steps ahead of you.
What is the question?
I'm only joking. Go on, tell me your question. Your question is who would make more money faster, the deal seller or the renter?
No.
What's the question now?
My question was going to be, do you think you'd move faster and move quicker if you had a rent to rent first and you actually had a deal yourself? Because then it would make it easier to then sell deals to investors, wouldn't it?
As in, here's one I made earlier.
Yeah. That might help you move quicker with deal sourcing.
It's a good case study.
Yeah, so if you've done rent to rents first, you've got a rent to rent.
And it's good if you're selling rent to rents. Depends what you're selling.
True.
You need to speak to, find out what the market is.
What did you think my question was going to be?
I thought your question was going to be, if you were starting again, if we were both, let's say you both started again.
Yeah.
Both had £1,000.
Yeah.
We did our own little crazy YouTube video.
Yeah.
Where we were given £1,000. You had to go, we had a month to see who could make the most money. You had to do only rent to rents. I had to only do deal selling. Totally starting from scratch. Who'd make more money in the month?
Well, you're trying to make me look like a fool here.
You don't need my help like a fool, man.
Well, it's different, isn't it?
Well, that wasn't the question. The question was who'd make more money at the end of the month. It doesn't matter. Obviously, they're different. Of course
But if I answer the question, you've got to allow me a chance and an opportunity to explain.
Go on, explain. I'm not saying yes or no. You don't have to say Russell or Ricci, but in one word, who'd make more money?
Deal sourcer. But
that's 2 words.
What did you want me to say?
Russell.
You just said it doesn't have to be Russell. All right, you would make more money.
Okay.
From deal sourcing.
That's all I need to hear.
But
that's fine. I'm the better man. I get it.
Yeah, but you'll be making more money. And as a deal sourcer, listen, deal sourcing, it's very lucrative. You can make a lot of money. But deal sourcing is great for going full time in property.
So you think I would make more money and work harder? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. With rent to rent, it's more passive, isn't it? So you can work really hard.
I don't agree. In your first month when you were setting up, I think the rent to rent is almost as hard, if not just as hard.
All right. So let's say 3 months then. You'll be working really hard and making a lot of money, and I'll be working not as hard. Feet up a little bit, but I'll still be making very good money. So who wins here?
Well, I suppose then it's all down to preference.
Yeah.
Or would you rather work hard and make more money?
Well, listen, I think it depends what people's goals are. If you've got £1,000, you're like, look, I absolutely hate. In fact, it's one of the things that we go through on the crash course. If you're hating your job right now, you want to get out quick. The goal would not be to get passive income to replace your income. The goal would be to replace your income as quick as possible. So if your goal is to replace your income as quick as possible and get out of work, then deal sourcing would make sense.
Yeah.
But we speak to people that, we have students of ours that enjoy what they do. They've got a little bit of money aside, not sure what to do with it. They're enjoying their work. So then they do rent to rent because it's slightly more passive. Don't make as much money as quick as what you can do with deal sourcing, but you can still replace a full-time salary very quickly with it, and they do it alongside it. So I think it depends on, the strategy has to align with the goal that you've got.
Yeah, and what you were doing.
Yeah.
So your answer basically is, if you were given £1,000 starting again, it depends.
Yeah.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
Nice.
It does. No, it does.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
So I'm guessing yours depends as well. Would you just do deal sourcing?
No, it does. Obviously, it does depend. I was joking, but I think my preference would be. I think I would do both ultimately, but I think I would start with deal selling. I mean, first of all, I need to know how to find good deals.
Yeah.
I think the key thing is if you're starting again. We talk about this a lot. You've got 3 things that you can bring to the table when you're in property, right? You've got your time,
yeah.
You've got your knowledge,
yeah,
and you've got your money.
Yeah.
You need at least 2.
Yeah.
So if you're starting again, you only had £1,000, you haven't got very much money.
Yeah.
So we're assuming that you've got time with the answer. We're both assuming you've got time to go and find the deals. We're also both assuming you've got knowledge.
Yeah.
But you need. I think first thing I'd be thinking if I started again is right. Which two out of the 3 have I? Ideally, you want 3, but you need at least 2. Which 2 have you got? Time, people that say they've got no time, got no money, and got no knowledge. I mean, they're a bit screwed.
Yeah.
If they want to make money, they've got.
Well, the money follows value, doesn't it? So the more valuable you become, like look at deal sourcing. There was a Samuel, I believe he's told the story about, he was actually I think you're obviously business partners, so you're obviously aware of it and know it. You guys have presented a massive development deal from a student, and you paid them a very nice, healthy finder's fee. And she was a bit confused because she was like, we're talking a 5-figure finder's fee here. I had to count on my fingers then.
5 figure?
Yeah, it was a 5-figure finder's fee. But she was very confused It's been documented. I remember watching the video. She was confused, man. She was like, "It's a crazy amount for deal sourcing." But Samuel said to her, "You don't," because she only spent about half an hour finding the deal. But he said, "You don't get paid for your time. You're getting paid for your value." So money follows value and what you can bring to the table. And as a deal sourcer, because of the knowledge that you bring to the table and the skills and the time, that I think of a lot of investors pay deal sourcers because a lot of investors are busy. They have their own businesses. They don't want to, because every property that you view is not going to be able to sell. You're not going to sell it. If you view 10 houses, you're not going to sell all 10 of them. You're not going to market all 10 of them. I have 10. I'd say we probably market maybe 3 or 4 of the properties that we find. So, yeah, it takes time to view the properties. Then you've got the skills of being able to negotiate the price down, do the due diligence, do the market research, and that's what you're getting paid for, the value. Not the time that you spend doing it, it's more the value.
Yeah, which is contrary to what most people that work in a job get paid for their time.
Yeah.
People are used to being paid for their time.
Yeah.
X amount per hour, etc.
Yeah, but that's just trading your time for money. And then what happens is people that want to, get rich and wealthy, they'll work more hours to get overtime and they'll cut their expenses. But what we do is we have more outgoings. Because you're never going to get rich from working more hours and cancelling Netflix or not having your Starbucks. You're not going to get rich that way. In fact, you end up worse because you're working more hours, you're not happy, and you're saving a little bit more money, but you've got no time. So we teach have more outgoings, like an outgoing, a rent to rent. You've got £1,000 a month that goes for rent, you've got the bills, you've got the utility, but you're getting booking after booking after booking.
It's an asset for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm glad you agree. I agreed with you a lot on one of the other episodes, so you're agreeing with me a lot this time.
Well, that's good. It's good that we're on the same
What
page.
do you think about lease options, though? Because we've got deal sourcing and rent to rent's great if you've got £1,000.
Yeah.
Lease options, you don't really need.
No, you don't. I like lease options a lot. For me, I think lease options are like, with all the different property strategies, it's like having a toolkit.
Yeah.
Right, so you've got different strategies that that you can use when different opportunities arise. I think if you were just purely going for lease options, which I do with development, but it's easier, I think, a little bit with development. If you're going for lease options on houses, it's more time consuming. It's not as quick as rent to rent and deal selling. So I think a lot of people push it back because it takes a bit more time, a bit more hard work. Getting someone to agree to a rent to rent is a lot easier than getting someone to agree to a lease option. However, I think I've always had it in mind. So when the opportunity arises, you know what to say, you know what to do, how to. So you're on the lookout. You're looking for the opportunities, but I probably wouldn't personally spend loads of time trying to get a lease option. I'd more be in the property space, try and get the rent to rents, try and find deals, and be aware of lease options. I don't know what you think about that.
I agree with you about a toolbox. I believe in going to view properties and thinking in mind. When I go to view them, I think in my mind,
could this be a HMO? Could this be a BRR?
Yeah.
Could this be a lease option?
And how can I help them?
Yeah.
I don't go in with, I'm going to view this property with the sole intention of doing this, and if this doesn't work, I'm out. I'm going there, or what can we do? How can we help? What can we...
A lot of people do that. They'll go and view it, and they're looking for example, a rent to rent. And if the person's not into rent to rents, they're like, I'm not interested in the property, or they're looking for HMOs only.
Yeah.
Oh, that room's too small, no good. But it would have made a great BRR.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I agree.
And rent to rents can be very easy to turn into lease options. Because you've already done the lease option.
And that's what I would do. I'd find rent to rent and try and convert.
Yeah. Would you if you've got £1,000, you're just starting out, you would set up your own sourcing company and give it a go yourself before you look at co-deal sourcing or anything?
I would, but I know what I'm doing, and I'm quite experienced with running businesses and finding customers and selling, etc. If I was starting again and I was also, let's say, if I went back in time to when I was 20 and I hadn't got much experience and I was, just in a job at the time, then I think I'd probably do co-deal sourcing and ease my way into it.
Yeah.
If I was starting again now, 100% I'd set up my own business.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do co-deal sourcing.
Another thing is, with deal sourcing, a lot of people think deal sourcing is you just find a deal, sell it for a finder's fee. There are different ways you can creatively make money with deal sourcing, like bespoke sourcing. So we say if you've only got £1,000, well, you can make £1,000 without even having a deal with deal sourcing.
Yeah.
From value that you bring, which is
Value that you're going to bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need from an investor. Bespoke sourcing, for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, is where you find an investor's criteria for what they want as a deal, and then they give you a non-refundable deposit for this deal. Then you go out and find the deal that matches their criteria, and they pay the remainder of the fee once you've found it. And the reason for that is because they need some skin in the game. Because what happens if you said to me, Rick, I want you to find me a HMO, you give me your criteria, and I say, cool, give me a month and I'll find it. Go away. I've viewed 10 houses, travelling up and down trying to find it. Finally got it after a month. I say, Russ, here's the deal you wanted. It's £3,000. You might then go, don't worry about it now, I've already found it. Sorry, I was meant to let you know, but time gets ahead of me, but thanks. Now I'm stuck, now I've got to quickly try and, so, there has to be some commitment from you, and it's great because the question that we often get asked is what comes first, the deal or the investor? And it's like when you know what you're doing, it's both, isn't it?
You've got both. You've got a list of investors ready, you've got a list of deals ready.
And if I wanted, there is one for you. If you wanted to make £1,000 quickly, so we said what we'd do with 1,000. If you wanted to make £1,000 quickly, what would you do? Would you do deal sourcing?
I think so, yeah.
But would you go with an approach of bespoke sourcing, or would you go with an approach of you're going to find a deal and then sell it?
If it had to be really quick, I'd do bespoke.
Yeah, I agree.
I could make the £1,000 in an hour.
Yeah, well, yeah. Probably, I reckon less than that.
Well, you've got to go and speak to investors.
I don't know, is this right now, or is it if you're just starting out?
If you're starting out, it would take a little bit longer. You probably could go to a networking event and make £1,000 if you're good at selling.
Yeah, you have to be good at sales.
Of course, that's the number one skill of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I read a book, Secrets to the Millionaire Mind.
I thought you were going to slag off my book again, but go on, carry on.
No, I'd never do that. It's such a great book, your book.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read it.
Can't wait to listen to it.
Can't wait to listen to it. What is your book? Question: what made you write that book?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. What made me write it? I think because I felt that I'd learnt a lot. Because I obviously worked for my dad, then I started setting up my own businesses. Was pretty successful. And I think I learned a lot in the process of what I did. And it was just a sort of a step-by-step, kind of my story, a step-by-step guide of what I'd done and how I found business. Because there's so much information out there. And I thought these are the key things that I'd learned, that I wanted to share and pass on. It was just sort of like... So also, I also find that when you write a book or when you write something, or even like this, when we talk about a subject, you have to really know it. And sometimes, like with sales, I talk about my winner sales process in the book. With sales, I had to really think about what I did to sell. I had to write it down and work it all out to know exactly what I was doing. It's the same with, I think it helps you as well. I say the best way to learn something is to do it, right?
Yeah.
But if you have to teach it, you have to know your subject so well. So it helped me with that. So from a personal point of view, I think writing a book on a subject is a great way of, like when you're at school, you have to write an essay on a subject. With writing that essay, you learn a lot about it, don't you? I think writing the book's the same.
I've never written an essay before.
Surely you had to, though, at school, right?
I didn't have to. They said I had to. I never actually did it.
Oh, well, I did.
I never did it. Do you think you need the £1,000 to get started, or do you not need anything?
I think you don't need anything. I didn't have any. When I bought my first property, I didn't have anything.
Okay.
I totally used leverage, used a mortgage, got a loan. Had nothing.
And I guess this has been proven, hasn't it?
Over and over again. Just watch Winners on a Wednesday. Story after story after story.
Do you know what's funny about the Financial Freedom Challenges? Is every time Sammy does a Financial Freedom Challenge, I find it gets like another level of extreme. Yeah. So the first one he did, it was just like, right, hidden identity, go out, no network or nothing, do my thing. Then it was like, right, hidden identity, and he's going to be like, no clothes. Like every time, I can't wait to see what's going to be next. It's just going to be, but he does it with nothing.
Yeah.
And I think if you haven't seen a Financial Freedom Challenge, you might have nothing right now. I think it's a great place to start, because the way that I think Sam is a different breed. I think you're a genius, and I think he's a different breed. Not because of the property stuff, but just because who gets dropped in their underpants with cameras rolling in public?
I don't know how he had the nerve.
Did he tell you he was doing that?
Yeah.
Or did you not tell him? Oh, hold on a minute. Think about this. You're pretty well known.
No, I was like, do it, bro.
Would you do it?
No. The only way I would do it is if I had like a 6-pack. Because he big at the time. He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
His big belly hanging over.
Someone came up to him.
If I was him, I wouldn't have took my top off at the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So to do it in the street.
It's on the documentary. Someone comes up to him and they go, "Samuel, man, I'm a student. Are you okay?"
It is crazy, isn't it? He has got like. I think I care way too much what people think.
Yeah.
To do that.
I think I would as well. I don't think I could do it.
No.
I think it takes a lot of courage to do that.
It takes more than courage. It takes an unhinged, I would say. It takes something.
Question.
Yeah.
Final question I want to hit you with.
Go on.
What would you say to someone? Because we're talking about what would you do with £1,000? What would you say to someone? What should be someone's next step?
First thing I would do, I think the 3 things we talked about: money, knowledge, and time.
Yeah.
I think I need 2. Which 2 should I get first?
Yeah.
That's the first thing you need to decide. What are the 2? If you've got loads of money and loads of knowledge but not much time, that'd be a totally different strategy to someone that's got loads of knowledge and time but no money, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I'll be thinking about. What have I got, or what am I going to get if I don't have all of them? How am I going to get that? That'd be the first thing. Once I've decided that, if I only had £1,000, obviously you've got no money, so it needs to be knowledge and time. I think I would be looking at either, and I think it depends on your personality as well. If you're a salesman, if you're a salesperson, if you enjoy that, I would go for sales. If you're not, if that's not your personality, then I'd probably go for rent-to-rents. But I'd choose at least one of those 2 strategies. I'd just go all out. I'd just think, what actions do I need to take in order to become successful at deal selling or rent-to-rents? And I'm just going to do the actions. I'm not going to set, if it takes me 2 months, 3 months, you said you'd be disappointed to do 4 months. But if you were getting started, it might take 4 months. It might take 6 months.
Yeah.
We've got people on the academy that have been going 6 months and they're consistently trying, and then they get their first deal. And your first deal is always the hardest.
Yeah.
Once you do the first deal, then you can start rinse and repeat. So,
And I do agree with you. However, I do think one of those 3 things is a must. It's a non-negotiable. I think you have to have the knowledge. That has to be one of them. Even if you're bringing the money and you're not going to do the work, you still need to know what your partner's going to be doing.
You need to know what you're investing in.
Yeah. So my first action.
So you need knowledge, and then it's time and money.
Yeah. I would say to anyone watching or listening, my first step would be do what I did, and that's out of the £1,000 you've got, spend £1 and come to a crash course.
Fair. I agree. But not very often we just totally agree, is it?
I think this is the
feels a
first
bit
time
weird.
we've agreed. Maybe we should disagree.
You're wrong. That's the end of the show. Guys, I've been Russell Leeds.
I'm Ricky Mandal.
See you next week.